Good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of Facebook Live with the Kansas City Star Editorial Board. I'm your host today, Toriano Porter. I'm going to be joined by colleague Dave Helling and special guest Dr. Brandon Martin, the athletic director at the University of Missouri, Kansas City. Dr. Martin, welcome.
Thanks so much for having me, Toriano.
Toriano,
sorry.
No problem at all, sir. In July, the University of Missouri, what you guys like to call the Kansas City Rules, moved back into the Summit League from the Western Athletic League. We know you were not here when UMKC decided to join the WAC, but what was the process like to bring the rules back to the Summit League?
Well, the thought process was a combined effort with myself and Chancellor Agarwal. And one of the things we wanted to do was to put our student athletes in a position where they can be successful. And that came down to the Summit League. And from a geographic standpoint, we felt that it had several benefits. One was from a student athlete welfare and well-being. We wouldn't be putting the student athletes on a plane to travel from Kansas City to Seattle, back down to Bakersfield, all the way to Texas, back to all the way up to Chicago, for that matter. So that helps with missed class time. It also helps with recovery. In terms of building a fan base, a traveling fan base, we felt that it was pretty important that we, be in a league, that fans could travel. Omaha is 3 hours away. And so there's no trip that's more than 5.5 hours. And so as we try and evoke emotion within our fan base and our alumni and administration, we felt that that was important as well. And the other piece was cost savings with travel. So all of our trips are going to be bus trips. And so there's cost savings as well. And in this climate in intercollegiate athletics, that's important for any director of athletics as they make decisions for their operational budgets.
Right. Now, you've been on the job 18 months. You've had to deal with a switch to a new conference, hiring a new basketball coach, a couple other coaches within the athletic department. Now you're dealing with the COVID epidemic. When you signed up for this opportunity, were you expecting all of this?
Well, I can't say that I signed up for COVID-19, but I certainly knew that we had great opportunities here in Kansas City. I knew that this was an opportunity where we were sitting on acres of diamonds, where we could elevate ourselves to be one of the premier mid-major athletic departments in the country. And Kansas City is a great sports town, and we're the only Division I team here in Kansas City, and we have 68% of our alumni that live in this region. And I knew that with the right vision, the right planning, the proper personnel, that we could really be that team that Kansas City owns. And we're in the process of really trying to build that fence around Kansas City and keep our kids home from a recruiting standpoint. And that's in all of our sports, particularly in our flagship sports. We want the top kids in Kansas City to entertain and to consider Kansas City athletics. We have two of the top basketball coaches in the nation, not just the Summit League, in the nation. And this is a place where we want Kansas City kids to consider.
Yeah, I have to tell you, Coach, you've done an outstanding job so far with the women's and men's basketball teams as far as those hires. They've gotten some really good basketball players in here. I know the men's team made a nice run last year, and the women's team did as well, softball as well. So you got your work cut out for you. One of the things that we feel like that has hurt UMKC is it being a commuter college. Are you planning to keep the rules basketball team at municipal / and also Sweeney, or are you going to choose one?
Well, we've already made the transition from municipal to Sweeney.
Full time. That's full time.
Full time, yes, sir.
Okay.
Full time, and so that's increased student attendance by 71% since we've done that, and it's important to have students at our games, and we want it to be a hot ticket, and we want it to be a family-friendly, family-focused type of environment, and we want sellouts. And this past season, we had, I believe, either 2 or 3 sellouts this year, and kudos to my external relations team, Kurt Jacey and his staff, with the marketing, promotion, the ticket sales, in that effort. But all of our games are going to be at Swinney. Now, that said, we have lofty aspirations, and we want to win a Summit League, but we have to continue to build. We have to continue to grow and expand. And so one of the things that we're strongly considering is an expansion of Swinney, because it's important that that we don't outgrow division, that we keep in line with division rather. And so we want to increase seating capacity. We want to expand our strength and conditioning spaces. We want to have a fueling station that's in accordance with what all of our teams need. And we want to reconstruct and revamp this Swinney Center to be that hot place to be for folks in Kansas City.
Dr. Martin, this is Dave Helling. Thanks for joining us. I've written a little bit about the push and pull, which I'm sure you're aware of, between or among the 4 universities that are part of the Missouri system: UMKC, St. Louis, Rolla, and of course, University of Missouri Columbia. And you get the sense sometimes that some curators, not all, are not overwhelmingly supportive of athletics at UMKC. Not necessarily your department, but the idea of it. So A, could you make a case as to why athletics are important at your university? And B, how much support do you feel like you need from other people in Missouri to make the programs at UMKC what you want them to be?
Sure. Great question, Dave. Kudos to President Moon Choi for his leadership of the Missouri system, number one. Number two, kudos to my chancellor, Molly Agarwal at UMKC. And number three, high kudos to all of the curators who have supported my vision and all of the work that we've done in 18 months at UMKC. One of the things that I have committed to is to approach this with sort of a non-deficit perspective and to have a growth mindset in this process. And I've received nothing but positive comments, positive support, positive energy from the curators. And so, you know, I want to debunk that right away and say that, you know, I believe that UMKC athletics, Kansas City athletics, us being successful adds to the success of the University of Missouri system. And so for me, it's been nothing but positive. It's been nothing but support and, you know, positivity moving forward in terms of the vision and where we want to take.
Why is our athletics so important to the university? I mean, make the case that athletics is important.
Well, it's a tool. It's a tool for engagement, Dave. It's a tool to engage students. It's a tool to market and promote some of the better things that we do at the university. It's a way for students to have an experience, you know, through sports. It's a way for us to engage our alumni throughout the Kansas City region and really give them some pride points and get them to come to a Roos game, buy a ticket, buy merchandise, and even consider joining the Roo Athletic Fund. It's important that way. But athletics has to be closely aligned with the mission of the university, but not only the mission of the university, but the mission and the goals of the Missouri system. And I've been very intentional about that. And we work at it every day. You know, our mantra is comprehensive excellence. And a part of that comprehensive excellence agenda is being in alignment with the University of Missouri system, and as well as the the goals that Chancellor Agrawal has in place.
Dr. Martin, since May, there's been a lot of talk about equity in sports, equity in education, equity in laws. You co-chair the Black AD Alliance. You're one of 16 Black ADs in that alliance. What is your role as co-chair, and what is the alliance all about?
Yeah, so I'm the co-chair of the Black AD Alliance, and my other co-chair is Alan Green. He's the director of athletics at Auburn. And we have some of the best and brightest minds on our executive committee that's representative of not only Power 5 schools, but also major institutions and, in fact, HBCU schools. And so I couldn't be more excited at this time to be one of the co-leads of this group. And really what our goal is to create a pipeline for more Black senior level administrators in our industry. Our goal is to create a mechanism to attack the social justice issues that exist in our industry. We also want to pay close attention to student athlete welfare, well-being, and development. And it's a chance for us to really be an anchor for our industry, but not only an anchor, but a conscience about advancement for Black administrators nationally. And so I think this is good for Kansas City, with me being the co-chair, good for the university. And we will continue to be at the vanguard of progress, elevation, and mobility.
Absolutely. And one more question, Dave, if sure. You look nationwide, there's more than 300 Division I basketball programs, and most of those programs are predominantly Black athletes, but the coaches and the administrators don't reflect that. Why has it been so hard to diversify that field in coaching and also athletic administration?
Yeah, I think there's been sort of an overrepresentation of Black student athletes in the revenue generating sports, but an underrepresentation of people like myself and senior level administrators. I think there needs to be more intentional efforts to change that. And I think that when you think about the stakeholders, when you think about the people who are making the decisions on whoever the deputy AD is or the athletic director, I think you need more people in that room who are of color and who have a diversity of thought. I think that's important, and that's one of the goals of our alliance.
Dr. Martin, we have to ask you about COVID, of course, because that the conversation surrounding the disease, of course, is consuming all of the country, and certainly sports is not exempt from that. You mentioned earlier that you're going to travel to all your away contests by bus. That itself is a concern, isn't it, in the age of COVID? I mean, being on a bus for 3 or 4 hours is a potentially difficult thing for some athletes. Talk to us about what you think the posture is of your department, and particularly, I guess, with basketball practice beginning in a couple of months. I mean, we're all talking about football, but basketball is also on the clock, isn't it?
I agree, Dave. And this is a situation where we have more questions than answers. And it's a situation where we have to be fluid and we have to be nimble and we have to make the proper adjustments on a weekly basis, sometimes on a daily basis. And so, as we look at basketball season and basketball being our flagship sport, one of the things we hope to do is to, number one, put the proper protocols in place for student athlete welfare and keep all of our kids safe. That's number one. And make sure that the student athletes are taking this virus seriously. That's important to do. Number two is it's important that we continue to compete. And even though we don't have fall sports, we still have to compete in the classroom. We still have to compete to be the best student athletes that we can be, the best athletic director that I can be, the best coaches. We still have to reach towards comprehensive excellence. And so, like I said earlier, I think this is an opportunity for us to look in the mirror and figure out the things that we need to do individually to advance and grow and to continue to make our programs better, with the understanding, to your point, Dave, that we need to position ourselves to not have the same issues that we have now, in December, in January. The hope is that, we can be responsible as a department. We can be responsible as a college athletic industry, responsible enough to where in January, the narrative is different. And that we're in a position to give our student athletes an opportunity to compete at the highest level. UMKC, I think now is online learning only. Is that correct in the fall semester, at least at the start, or is it hybrid? Or, how important is it for you to have students on campus if you want to play basketball in the winter? Well, it's going to be a hybrid model. It is going to be that. And the thing is that, we are going to have student athletes on campus. That's a reality. We will have practices. And it's our job to keep our kids safe. But we're also going to have non-student athletes on campus. And it's important, it's going to be incumbent upon myself and Chancellor Agarwal and the administration to make sure that we communicate almost daily on the best things for all of the students, not just the student athletes. But we want students safe, and we want our staff safe. We want our faculty safe. We want everybody safe. And that's what we're going to continue to work towards.
It's tough to do a bubble in a college environment, isn't it? And the NBA does a bubble. Try doing that at UMKC or Missouri or Lawrence.
I think, and one thing about the bubble, it's been difficult for me as a basketball guy to really get heavily entrenched in the games, just because of the make believe, the virtual fans, and that kind of. And it's almost.
I'm with you on that, man. I'm watching the Royals play. I'm going, we don't really need this.
It's almost like watching pickup basketball. Agree. But for us, the bubble format and concept is not realistic. We have 18 to 22-year-olds that we're held responsible for. And there's no way that we can put them in a bubble type of format. Saying that, there's things that we do need to do to ensure their safety. And so when you talk about amateurism versus pros, if you're paying somebody $10 million, then hey, they need to go to the bubble. They need to go to the
absolutely.
But for our kids, hey, you know what? We got to keep them safe.
Yep.
And there's still so many more teachable opportunities and lessons that they need to get on campus. I firmly believe that. And so we cannot move to the professional model. And I'm speaking for being the AD at UMKC. That's not even in question.
Dr. Martin, let's take your AD hat off for a minute here. Just you're Dr. Brandon Martin, a man of the town, a man of the people. I'm a father of a college athlete. I'm a father of a youth athlete. And my son's basketball season may be in jeopardy. My younger kids, I haven't had them practice or play since March. What do you think about sports being shut down at the high school, college, and professional level, just as a sports fan?
I think that was probably one of the best questions that you've asked me so far, because my daughter is headed to club volleyball practice in the next 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. And they haven't stopped. And so, I'm saying, well, I'm the athletic director. We're not having fall sports, but my daughter is saying, hey, Daddy, I got to go to practice in a little bit. And so I'm still trying to figure that part out because, I want my daughter to be happy. There's been so much transience within this in terms of, yeah, the school situation that's going to be virtual. And then, she's been in the house for months as well as my son. And so I do want to give her the opportunity to at least be with her friends and get to some sense of normalcy. But I am concerned about her well-being.
Absolutely. I'm as a parent, I'm sure you're torn, because sports is our background and that's how you make a living, but it's also embedded in our children, and what they all know is to compete. And for them to sit down, it's just tough. But go ahead.
It's really tough. And it's really tough to really sit the kids down and give them teachable lessons about something that we really don't understand. There's no precedent for it. So I think this is stretched us as parents,
right?
With the messaging that we give our kids, the lessons that we provide for them, and the responsibility that we have as parents. So I'm really glad that you posed that question.
Absolutely.
The problem, first of all, Dr. Martin, there are no easy answers, are there? I mean, that's what I think frustration is for everybody is. If there was an easy answer, we would have found it by now on all of this. And second, the consequences of a mistake are just so huge. I mean, it isn't like, well, if I didn't schedule this game, maybe that. No, I mean, this is a life or death thing. That makes it just incredibly difficult, doesn't it?
Well, it does. I mean, anytime you have your kids, going out for practice or competing in some game, and then, God forbid something were to happen. I mean, it's a risk, David. That's what it is. But I just want to say that I also have, 230 kids that I'm responsible for at UMKC. And so I need to continue to make the best decisions for them in their safety and their well-being.
And that is hard, isn't it, Dr. Martin?
It's difficult because you have so many different internal and external factors and pressures that you have to deal with in terms of meeting the bottom line, right? So when I say the bottom line, it's more of, I'm not saying that we're professionals and that we operate like pro sports, but at the same time, there's certain mandates and expectations of me as an athletics director that are financial.
Absolutely.
As you look at the landscape, we've seen a lot of pauses in different leagues waiting, to make a decision on if we're going to play, not going to do it, and do that kind of thing. And a lot of that is economically driven. And that's where our business is. But at the end of the day, it's our job to protect our student athletes and make sure that they have a chance to be successful.
Dr. Martin, what does a winter sports season look like if basketball is called off for UMKC in the Summit League?
You mentioned the winter. So that means that we would focus heavily in the spring. And that means that it would be a conference only schedule. And it would be demanding. I mean, it's going to be interesting because you would have so many sports going on in one time of the year, right? I mean, if football starts up at the same time, and then you got basketball, and then you got the traditional spring sports that compete, that's going to stretch a lot of athletic departments in terms of the game management team, how we have equity in the way that we market and promote certain programs. It's going to be challenging, but I would rather it be challenging than we put our kids at risk.
Absolutely. We're pushing up against time, but I did want to ask you, you mentioned earlier about being intentional. And one of the things I've noticed since you've been on the job is you have been intentional about your strategic partnerships in the community. One of the things that stood out was you guys, the athletic department, made a deal with Ruby Jean's Juicery. And
Yes.
also you guys have allowed a local artist to perform at your halftime shows. How important is it to have local talent in partnership with UMKC?
Well, it makes everything that we do authentic. And so Chris Good has been a phenomenal partner. It was important to support him as we talk about community. And when we talk about community, you know, it's important that we support the Black community. That's important. And so that's not exclusive, but to ignore that wouldn't be prudent on our part. We are an urban campus. That's our identity, and which means that, you know, a byproduct of that is that we have to support Black business, or we should support Black business. And that's, and I've been, we use the word intentional. I've been intentional about doing that because I think it's important. I think it's important for a lot of different reasons. Let me tell you why. Yes, it is important symbolically for our university to have that bridge. Yes. But when we talk about trying to get that 14, 15, 16-year-old student at Lincoln, you know, or at Central to get excited about UMKC. And I'm not talking about the athletes. It's important that they understand that we're entrenched in that community. That's important. And so I've been pretty visible in that community, and I've made it known that that's one of our priorities moving forward.
I think that's a great way to end this conversation. Dr. Brandon Martin, UMKC Athletic Director, thank you for joining us on Facebook Live today.
And good luck, by the way. Good luck in the coming year, because it's going to be interesting.
It will be. Well, thank you both. I really appreciate it.
No, it's great. It's great. Great conversation.
And thank you for this time.
Once again, I'm Toriano Porter, colleague Dave Helling, Dr. Brandon Martin of UMKC. Enjoy your afternoon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.